Okay, Bill, we're live. Um, we are Saturday morning, February 21, after 10 10 in the morning. Thanks for doing the interview. So maybe if you could go into your background first,
Uh,
that'd be good. Then we can get into headgear.
okay. I'm a traditionally trained orthodontist, having gotten my orthodontic training back in the 1970s. And because of that, I knew very well how to retract teeth. I extracted frequently and I used headgears much of the time because we were taught that the upper teeth stuck out and the front teeth needed to be retracted back. And extraction and headgear were the two basic modes. After about 6 years in practice, I began to question what I had been taught to do. I didn't like the way the faces looked. I really didn't know anything about airway and how that might impact the airway. Now, what I know today makes me know I was correct to be very concerned. But I started a continuing education process in 1981 to find other ways to straighten teeth and end up with better looking faces. Along that continuing education process, the importance of airway became much more important, and I learned a lot. I learned about sleep apnea, and now that pretty much rules what I do. The airway is king over everything, and it must be taken into account in every treatment plan for every patient. I don't use headgears. Back in 1981, there was an article which was published in the refereed literature, the orthodontic literature, which outlined the fact that in patients who have what lay people call buck teeth, what orthodontists call class 2 malocclusions, the upper teeth are rarely do they really stick out. As a matter of fact, they're more often too far back than too far forward. What I've learned after 1981 and more recently is that the upper teeth never stick out, and in patients who have class 2 malocclusions or what lay people call buck teeth, the upper jaw is always too far back. So if you're going to treat these people properly, you need to move the upper jaw forward and then move the lower jaw forward. Obviously, this makes a much better looking face, but more important than the better looking face is the fact that the soft palate comes forward, the tongue comes forward, and the airway is improved. It's been my experience that the smaller a person's airway is, the less the quality of their life is going to be in one very important way or another. It's all a matter of details of what's going to be going on for them. So we don't use headgears and we don't use anything that has a headgear effect. And so a headgear is designed to retard the forward growth of the upper jaw, and we were taught that we would then hope that the lower jaw would catch up with the upper. Uh, Given the fact that the upper teeth don't stick out, it makes no sense to retard the forward growth of the upper jaw. We would really like to enhance the forward growth of the upper jaw and then enhance the forward growth of the lower jaw. Uh, there are many appliances out there which posture the lower jaw forward. They're made out of plastic and wire, varying designs, with the idea that you're going to grow the lower jaw forward. And all of them, because they posture the lower jaw forward and connect to the upper jaw as the lower jaw muscles want to pull back, they also exert a headgear effect on the upper jaw, and slowly over time will have the jaw be retracted back with the obvious, lack of, of forward growth face being the big issue, and the patient's airway is going to suffer because the face is going forward. Uh, so we don't want to use any appliances which have a headgear effect. We want to see everything where we develop the upper and lower jaws forward. There are appliances to do this. We use an approach called orthotropics that does posture the lower jaw forward after we've developed the upper jaw forward. But the reason we can overcome the headgear effect is we have some extensions to the floor of the mouth with our appliance, which if the lower jaw falls back against them, it signals the patient to not do that. So it kind of negates the headgear effect. And we've shown that we can improve the airway rather dramatically with this approach, and that's published in the refereed literature.
So basically, a kid gets headgear, and the headgear pushes the upper jaw back, um, which flattens the face,
Right.
makes the face. Uh, I don't know. I've heard of like kids with droopy faces or kids with double chins after getting headgear,
Right.
and no larger noses and no
Right.
chins, and
Right.
And does that all
The,
translate into a flattened airway?
right. The real problem is that the earlier that you're restricting the growth of the upper jaw, the more the worse the effect is going to be on the face because you're really trapping the lower jaw back. You really don't see the lower jaw come forward.
Is that
And
during here?
you know,